How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, now that the round of 16 for the 2021 Euros tournament is complete, I'm going to use this episode to, of course, just to preview the four remaining matchups for this round and just give context as to how each of these teams got here, because of course now there were 16 teams competing. Now there's half that number are competing for the same trophy, as tensions have been flaring, and it actually was a very good round of soccer. Looking forward to this. So this round will officially start on Friday, July 2nd, and the very first matchup that will take place on noon on Eastern Standard Time as Switzerland hosts Spain. Switzerland, of course, got here after finishing with the third best record in Group A. They finished below Italy, and because they had a worse differential than Wales, they were able to still sneak in with the 4 points that they had. Once they made the tournament, they were actually able to beat France 3-3. Or they were able to draw with France 3-3. They were down 3-1 in the second half, as they would get a second goal from Seferovic, and then Gavranovic would score in the 90th minute to even it up. In extra time, nobody would score. It would go to penalty kicks, and then when it came to Kylian Mbappe on the fifth attempt for France, he would eventually get his saved by Jan Sommer, the goalie for Borussia Mönchengladbach. So of course, that is how Switzerland got here. And Spain was able to make it here after they would go on to finish second in Group E to Sweden. They would finish with a win and 2 draws, which would lead them to facing off against Croatia on Monday. And then Spain would end up beating Croatia kind of bad. First, Croatia would score the first goal off of a Spanish own goal. Then Spain would end up scoring. They would even it up in the first half. In the second half, they would score the first 2 goals, and then Croatia would even it up there to tie it up at 3. And then Spain would score 2 goals in the very first half of extra time from Morata and Oyarzabal. And with this win, that is how Spain was able to make it into the Euro 2020 qualifier. So that game will take place on Friday at noon. And then the game following that at 3 o'clock will be between Belgium and Italy. Belgium was able to make it here after Belgium blew their way through Group B. They beat Denmark, Finland, and Russia to face off against Portugal in their very first matchup. And when they faced off against Portugal, they would end up beating them 1-0 off of a 42nd minute from Torgan Hazard. That would be the only goal of the game. So, of course, that is how Belgium would make it here. Italy would make it here after blowing through their group. They went through Group A with Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey, and of course they would they would have their fun in that matchup, and then that would lead them to their round of 16 matchup on Saturday, where they beat Austria 2-1. The game neither team would score in regular time, forced it to go into extra time. The first goal would go to their forward from Juventus, Federico Chiesa, and then the second goal would go to their midfielder Pessina as they took a 2-0 lead. Austria would score in the 114th minute. Kalajic would make it 2-1, but no more goals would be scored after that. That is how Italy advanced into the quarterfinals, and that is why they are currently facing off against. So Belgium versus Italy looks like that's going to be that looks like that's going to be a highly anticipated matchup. And then looking forward to the other 2 matchups on Saturday to complete the quarterfinals. At 12 o'clock at noon on Saturday, the Czech Republic will host Denmark. The Czech Republic was able to make it here after they finished with the third best record in Group D alongside Croatia. They both finished with 4 points in the table. Following that, the Czech Republic would end up getting their very first win in the group stage on Sunday as they beat the Netherlands after Matthijs de Ligt would end up picking up a red card in the 52nd minute. They would get goals from Holes in the 68th minute and Patrick Schick in the 80th. With this win, that is of course how the Czech Republic would seal their spot, and their opponents Denmark would make it here after a pretty wild up and down roller coaster of a tournament. First, their captain Christian Eriksen would collapse in the very first game, and he wouldn't come back, and they would actually lose that game. Denmark would end up losing another game and winning a game, but they were still able to make it into the knockout round thanks to goal differential. So that's how they were able to make it in. And once they made it in, they would end up having to beat Wales 4-0, as their first goal come from Dolberg in the first half, and going as they were up 1-0 at halftime. Dolberg would score his second goal in the beginning of the second half. Maley would score in the 88th, and then Braithwaite from Barcelona would score in the 94th minute to give Denmark the 4-0 win for them to advance past Wales. So right now, Denmark versus Czech Republic is going to be the first game on Saturday morning, and then following that at Saturday at high noon. And then at 3:00, it'll be the last matchup between Ukraine and England. Ukraine would make it into this tournament after finishing third in Group C. They only had one win in their entire group stage, as they were able to barely sneak out of a group with Netherlands and Austria. And in their matchup, they would go on to face off against Sweden yesterday, and in extra time they would end up picking up a goal in the 121st minute before the game resulted in PKs. That is how Ukraine earned their spot here. And then England was the game right before that yesterday, as they were able to knock off the 2014 World Cup winners, Germany, as they got a goal in the 75th minute from their elite forward for Manchester City, Raheem Sterling. And they would get a goal in the 86th minute from their elite striker, Harry Kane, to give them their spot here. And now they're going to face off against Ukraine. Looking at how these matchups are going to face off looking forward, the matchup of Belgium and Italy, the winner of Belgium and Italy will face off against the winner between Switzerland and Spain. And then looking at the other matchup, the winner of Ukraine and England will face off against the winner of the Czech Republic and Denmark in the semifinals. And until then, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. I want to thank the Euro 2020 websites, FIFA, of course, for giving me the facts and figures that I needed for this website, and of course, ESPN. And I want to thank everyone for listening to all 7-8 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Once again, today is Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. And don't forget to be elite. And don't forget, thanks for listening to my piece. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.